This is Support is Sexy, episode 68, with Monique Alvarez, owner of the luxury, vintage, and consignment boutique, Lifestyle Statement. Welcome to the Support is Sexy podcast. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, producer, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I talk to women entrepreneurs who share their journeys and the true stories of their wins and their lessons, and give you insight and inspiration to take your business and your life to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so excited to have you here. You know, it just would not be the same without you. So today we are welcoming Miss Monique Alvarez, and Monique is the owner of the luxury, vintage, and consignment boutique called Lifestyle Statement, which is located in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. The merchandise is amazing. You have to go to the website, lifestylestatement.com, and have a look at what she's offering. But Monique's story is so interesting because it so aligns with what she's going through with her career, which she had a long career in fashion, and now she's going through this reinvention as owner of her own boutique. The clothing that she sells, the clothing, the shoes, and the accessories is something that also goes through a sort of reinvention or a new story or this new life that she gives it when she collects it from her clients and sells it to her customers. So on this episode, Monique talks to us about the importance of tapping into your personal and professional network to support your new business. Also, how to make sure your customers have a beautiful experience. Also, the importance of going with the flow while still planning. How to find your clients. What truly makes a piece vintage, which is a question I always have. Also, how consignment works. She talks about the importance of participating in events with like-minded businesses. Why confidence is everything. And also her one key piece of advice for anyone considering creating a pop-up shop or boutique. What she has learned within the past year of having her business and the advice that she wished she had received and the advice that she loved to offer. So I know you're going to enjoy this episode. Fun and talking about fashion, but also talking about reinvention and reshaping your life story and what kind of work you want to do. So get into it. I know you're going to love it. So without further ado, Monique Alvarez. So Monique, thank you so much for joining us for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Excellent. Now, the first question I ask everyone, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
I think I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Even when I worked in corporate America, I would tell my friends, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to have my own business. I said it, but I didn't know it was actually really coming sometime soon.
So where did you grow up? Did you grow up in New York?
I'm from Syracuse, New York.
Oh, you're
born and raised.
I don't think I've ever met anyone from Syracuse.
I am born and raised in Syracuse, New York.
Now, what was a young Monique like?
Young Monique, I actually really reflect on the young Monique a lot more often. I was very artistic, quiet. I loved to paint, draw, sculpt. I played several instruments. I was also a little feisty, but I was very artistic and very creative.
What was it like? Were you always drawn to, I should say, things that were artsy or style or fashion or those kind of things when you were younger? Or was it more general kind of, as you said, the arts?
Okay, so being from Syracuse, I don't think I really knew what a fashion career was. But I used to take newspapers and draw from the Sunday Times or fashion illustrations or cartoon illustrations. I love to sculpt and paint. So I think I was just naturally drawn to the arts. Plus my family is very artistic. My uncles, my father's musician. So I think it just came naturally.
Nice. Now, who were some of your greatest influences growing up?
Growing up?
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say my family would be my greatest influences growing up. I didn't have access to a lot of I'm 41 years old, so we didn't have access to a lot of things, I guess, in television or media and that sort of thing. I think my first influence as a woman would have been Oprah Winfrey.
Mm.
I think that's the first time I saw a woman doing something really large publicly. But other than that, it'd have to be my family.
Did you, when you saw Oprah, did you want to do something like her, or was it just seeing her was powerful to you? Did you think, as far as career wise, or how you saw yourself in the future?
I actually went to school for communications because of Oprah Winfrey, Ricky Lake. I mean, talk shows were a big deal then.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I was going to work in communications and journalism. And then I kind of sidelined into social work. And but then I also loved fashion. And I think that was the number one passion.
Where did you go to school? Did you go to school in Syracuse too?
I went to school in SUNY Brockport,
Okay.
upstate New York.
Okay. And you studied communications there, you said?
I studied communications. I studied social work as well. And then I left school.
Mm-hmm.
I actually dropped out in my third year and moved to New York City.
What made you drop out? Was it just...
Well, my mom and I were having a little bit of a conflict. I decided I wanted to go to FIT in New York, and she thought New York was too big for me, that I wasn't ready to be in New York, that I wasn't ready for what New York had to offer. And so I decided I was going to do what I wanted to do anyway and moved to New York eventually. And I did.
And did you go to FIT?
I did not.
Okay.
I jumped straight into the fashion industry by happenstance.
Uh-huh. What happened? How did you end up making, well, first of all, that's a big decision to decide to leave a track that you're already on and being in school and go after, I guess, what you were dreaming about at that time, going into fashion. What gave you the courage to make that move and say, well, I'm going to do this anyway? And then how did you transition into the business, or how did you start in the business?
So I think I just got into a place in life where I really felt like I had to do something different. And I moved to New York. A friend of mine was living in Brooklyn. And she said, why don't you come? I took a very meager paycheck and moved to New York. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I survived. And my first inclination was just to get with a temp agency. And I think it was the biggest blessing. I always believe that God really knows what we want in our hearts. And I ended up at a company called Frederick Fekkai, and it was my first luxury experience and kind of seeing this world in New York that was available to me. That same agency placed me with Valentino a number of years later, maybe like 2 years later, and I fell in love, and I stayed with them for 13 years.
Wow. Now, when they placed you, was it more of an administrative position with the agency?
Very lower level. I think I was cashiering at the time.
Oh,
but
so it was in one of the stores?
In the store on Madison Avenue, the flagship store. But I was extremely determined. Like, once I saw what was available to me, I didn't sit still. So it was cashier to sales into assistant managing. And then I started training all over the U.S. employees and helping to open stores. So we went from 3 stores to 13 stores. Wow. And I was having a ball.
And it was because you were so passionate about being there. I know that's one of the stories that I tell younger people when I talk about interning and that kind of thing. My dream at that time was Essence magazine. I wanted to work at Essence. And I said sort of what you did. I just need to be in the building, whatever position it is. And I became an intern. I just need to be in the building, because once you're in there, as in your case, you can work your way through and learn, even if you don't stay there, learn as much as you can in that position once you get your foot in the door.
I mean, I was having too much fun, like a kid in a candy store. I didn't realize that the luxury world was as big as it was. I was meeting some incredible customers, celebrities, actors, but also my coworkers were teaching me some things about myself that I didn't realize were in me. The clothing were magnificent. I mean, I was trying to think of how I could get new things all the time. And I had gone to Europe for the first time with the company, Milan and Paris, and it just opened my small world up into something much bigger.
What were some of the things, or one of the things that you feel like you really learned there? Because you mentioned that the employees kind of showed you a different part of yourself that you didn't know was there.
I think one of the biggest things I remember is that the employees taught me how to be generous, how to share. A lot of them, I was young, so they would take me out to these really beautiful restaurants, and they would spend time with me, and they were very generous. And I learned something really magnificent about the power of sharing with people, about giving, about how it makes people feel. I was young and broke, and there were times that I didn't have any money. And I wouldn't necessarily share it with people, but they would take me for lunch and it made a difference. It really did.
They really took you under their wing, probably too, because they could see how passionate you were about it. Like you said, if you were having so much fun doing it,
Right.
people can see that in you.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Did you ever meet him? I have to ask. Did you ever meet Valentino?
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
I did. And I've met Mr. Valentino and so many other amazing people. Um, Back in those days, you just kind of say, hi, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
And you keep going. You don't ask for pictures or,
Right. You
I
wouldn't
think
dare.
no, 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 no. I mean, we see so much now on the internet that
Exactly.
after, like, you're in the room, hello, very, and then you step away. But
Right.
yeah, of course. Hmm.
Excellent. So now, when you're at Valentino, you stayed there for 13 years. When did you decide to make the transition to open your own shop, which is Lifestyle Statement, so your own business? When did you make that transition, and how did you make that transition?
Okay, so this is a long story, and I'll make it as short as I possibly
Don't
can.
make it short. We got time.
So after 13 years in with Valentino, and then I went to Alexander McQueen for about 2 years in management. I started to feel less passionate, but I think there was also something else that was going on. I was striving for a certain position, and I wasn't getting that position. I was hitting a wall, and I think that wall turned into disappointment and bitterness and hurt. And I was kind of carrying that around with me everywhere I was going. And it also, I think, a lack of confidence was setting in somewhere. And I was taking it with me. I wasn't as performing the way I would normally perform. And so my career was kind of slowly dissolving and I couldn't understand it. It seemed like everything was in a whirlwind. And then I stayed home for just under a year and kind of licked my wounds. Like, what am I going to do next? Maybe I don't love fashion anymore. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. And I started to look around at what was around me,
Now,
which
when
was
you
a
say you,
lot. I'm
sorry to
sorry. Go ahead.
interrupt. When you said you stayed home, so you decided to leave Alexander
I
McQueen.
decided to leave Valentino. So I had
Oh,
gone back to Valentino after McQueen. And I was home for maybe a couple months. I couldn't figure out like what I was going to do next. My world was a little shaken up. I was a bit distraught. And I think I was sitting home honestly one day and I was cleaning my closet. And I was like, oh my God, I have all this stuff I've accumulated over the years in pristine condition. And somebody recommended that I send it to a consignment shop. I'd never been into a consignment shop in my life. And I just started taking things, a few things, and sending it to a consignment shop. And I watched their process. And I said, I can do this. Not only that, I was kind of emotionally attached to the things that I had had because they were like, there were stories behind everything.
mm-hmm.
So I wanted to sell it on my own. And I just created like a little pop-up shop for friends and family. And it went so well.
And you
And,
created
and
that in Brooklyn?
I did. I did it at an art gallery in Brooklyn. And all these women came out and shopped, shopped, shopped. I was only open for like 6 hours, set up beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine said, "Why don't you create your own consignment shop online?" So that was kind of the birth of it, and it just kind of took on a life of its own.
That's wonderful. Now, how did you know how to create? How did you think to create a pop-up shop? And then what year was that? And then how did you know what to do in order to make that work or market it?
Okay, so it was 2015, and which is very recent.
Mm-hmm. Very recent.
And I don't know if I had any marketing skills per se. I think I just used my network. People in fashion. We have a very, very deep network of women in our church as well. And they came out. I mean, tons of women came out and shopped and had a great time and sipped champagne and laughed. And it was just beautiful.
You made it an experience for
It
people.
was an experience for sure. 2 floors in the brownstone, set up like a store. I used my skills. I used some friends to be salespeople. I put them in all black.
Mm.
Everybody greeted people and they were very warm and welcoming. And we treated it like a store for the day. It was beautiful.
How did your skills from working in stores like Valentino and McQueen translate into what you created there? Because just what you mentioned of, I had them all in all black, we had champagne and some of these other things that are clearly signals of a luxury brand or a brand that cares about the customer.
So I think I just wanted to give people something different, a luxury experience. I wanted people to experience what I had experienced for so many years. And if I could give a taste of it, And so we really did. We set up, I wish I could show you pictures. We set up beautifully. Like one floor had, a table that was all spread with like shoes and different things on plates and pearls dripping down from chandeliers. And just, it was just really gorgeous. But even more beautiful for me was watching women actually enjoying shopping those racks and actually enjoying getting a piece of history. And they still talk about it today. So it was an amazing experience.
Wow. Now, was this all from the items that you said you had in your closet and you had accumulated over the years, or did you bring in other stuff? Your closet must have been crazy.
Honestly, mostly. I did take on, I think, like two or three other consigners, people that I knew. I said, "This is what I'm doing. Would you like to participate?" And they participated, but I had quite a bit of things there that had come from my past life in fashion.
Wow. Now, at that point, is that when you sort of said, okay, this is that thing, I definitely want to do this? Or what was the plan after that first pop up?
I sat home for a couple more months, and I think I still was a little unsure, but I still had quite a bit of merchandise. And then I had people that were calling me to see if I was going to do it again and if I wanted some merchandise from them. So I almost think, I feel like it was a divine appointment. And so I started looking online for spaces that I could use for temporary space for a store. And that's how Walk-in Closet by Lifestyle Statement was born. I literally just said, I'm going to do this for like a couple weeks. And then a couple weeks became a month. And it's been a year now.
Wow. So what was it then that made you say, okay, I need to keep this going?
The interaction with the people I was meeting in the neighborhood, meeting some really incredible women. Also, the influx of merchandise. People kept calling me for things like, can you come to I'm making pickups on a regular basis from all over New York and outside of New York City. And people had incredible merchandise. So it just took on a life of its own.
And you're based right now in Brooklyn in Crown Heights, right?
Yes. Yes.
So why Brooklyn? Why that space? What made that be the right space for you, especially in Crown Heights, which is, of course, changing like all of Brooklyn is, but
okay, so here we go. Honestly, again.
Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Crown Heights I didn't know much about the neighborhood. And so I just happened to find a space that was available in Crown Heights. Well, wouldn't you know, it was on a street that happened to be extremely busy. There's all kinds of trains running through it. It's a vein. So you can get to it from, I think, 3 different train stations.
It's Franklin Avenue, right?
Wakely. Franklin Avenue, the shuttle train, the C train. Either way, it's an easy transition to get there. And then the space, the landlord was really working with me to stay in the space, which I think is rare, right? And so I felt like everything was just kind of making sense. It was all coming together for me to continue this journey. You're getting clothing, you're getting clients, you're getting a landlord that really wants to work with you. I mean, what else is there to do but to keep going?
Wow. Now, in that area, are you I can't wait to visit. I haven't been over there yet. In that area, are you the only shop like yours that's a luxury consignment shop? I
am. So there are tons of restaurants, great restaurants, by the way. So if anyone wants to come visit, come over, come shop, go eat. Amazing restaurants on the street. But there's one other store that sells clothing that's nothing like mine. And I'm the only luxury store. And I think I took a big chance because the neighborhood is really mixed.
Right.
But I'm getting a great response from women who are shopping, even those who can't shop at this time. They're like, this is so beautiful. The merchandise is so amazing. We're so glad you're in this neighborhood. So I'm getting a really good positive response.
Do you feel like you'll stay there for a while since, as you said, things have come together and working with the landlord especially has been really good? Do you feel like that this is the space for now?
I would like to stay there for a while. Let's see what happens. But I also have much bigger dreams about the evolution of the brand. I would love to have a gorgeous showroom. I oftentimes see like a loft space with beautiful, beautiful pre-owned luxury vintage pieces and just really special things. So we'll see what happens. I'm still just kind of going with the flow, but also planning.
I love that. So you're being open.
I'm being very open at this stage in life.
So when you envision it in a loft and this gorgeous space, what do what kind of things are in there? What kind of things do you see in the shop at that point? I know you have some luxury items now, obviously vintage and through consignment, but what do you see? What's your grand vision?
So I'm a bit of a romantic. I had an 80-year-old woman tell me that recently. She said, Monique, you're really a romantic. I really love history. I love history of clothing. I love cultural history. So I think that I'm a bit of a historian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I think about that in terms of fashion in a showroom, I oftentimes envision really gorgeous pieces that have had a life, 20, 30, 40 years ago that are extravagant that you can't find anywhere else per se. That's going to be really challenging to find somewhere else. I just love that. I love the history of pieces, the history of designers. What went into creating something, who wore it. That's just my thing. I love it.
Mm-hmm. You love the
Love it.
story.
I love the story. I love
Right.
talking to people. I talk to my clients sometimes for hours about their pieces before I even take them out of their houses.
Wow. Now, how do you find your clients? Speaking of that, or do they find you? What are the ways that you find the people that you get different items from?
A little bit of both. Relationships in the fashion industry over, 16 years really helped. Having credibility, having a good name so people know they can trust you and they can come to you, really made a difference. My past life at Valentino and Fluker and Alexander McQueen really made all the difference because I created some really wonderful relationships with people who trust me and they know my work ethic and they call on me now to help them to clean out their closets.
When you first called them, was it, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. Do you have any pieces? Or what was that conversation like? And
It was exactly that.
Okay, I was going to say, because I asked because sometimes we're afraid to, especially making a transition, even though you're still within the same industry, but transitioning to this new thing, especially starting something on your own, we're afraid to think, or it doesn't even occur to us, I can use all of this experience, relationships, et cetera, that I've built for more than a decade to make this new thing work.
It was exactly that. I got on the phone with the people I felt most comfortable with at first. I made a list of people that I could ask, and I started making phone calls. I reached out on social media, and then those people started referring other people that I didn't know. And, it's been some really incredible experiences. I mean, I went to a woman's house through someone else, and I hit like the luxury jackpot, Chanel and Helmut Lang and a bunch of different things. So it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And I see it's like a never ending thing. It's the resources are unlimited.
Right. Now, what makes a piece vintage now that we're in 2016? What period do you consider vintage?
Okay, so technically, true vintage is anything over 20 years old. I think people are calling vintage anything from the last 10 years and back now. But really, really true, authentic, highly sought after vintage is about 20 years old.
And that's what you primarily look for?
That's what I would love to have more of. Mm-hmm. So I currently have a mix of merchandise. I have consignment, which is more modern. And then I have those vintage pieces as well that are from, I'd say like the late to early 90s. I do have a few that are earlier than that, but mostly I'm concentrated in like the late early 90s. If I can get into the 60s and 70s, if anybody has it and you're listening to this podcast, call me.
I love it. Now tell us how consignment works for people who don't know exactly, because we always hear about consignment shops. How does that work?
So you bring in or you make an appointment for me or whichever consignment shop you used to see your gently used or pre-owned merchandise, handbags, clothing, shoes, but all in pristine condition, clean and ready to go. And the consignment shop will pick out what they think will be appropriate for their shop. And once the piece sells, you split the profits. Whatever the splits are vary from consignment shop to consignment shop. But it's really a good way to get some extra cash in your pocket to buy that next new thing that you love or whatever you're saving up for, to clean out those things that you're no longer making use of. So it's really like it's a really eco-friendly way of doing things, so we're not just getting rid of things or throwing away things, that it takes on a new life.
A new life. I love that. Now, with your business or with marketing the business, I know you mentioned being in touch with people you know, your church, your own network, so to speak. But you also do events and other things too, right? I saw recently that you were at a current affair, the exhibition.
Okay, so a current affair was like my dream event to
Hmm.
participate in. I had actually gone as just a customer. I
Tell
think
us
like
what it is. Like, how
two
does it?
years ago. So a current affair is in Industry City, Brooklyn. There are over 80 vendors that come from all over the world. There's a big concentration of vendors from California, um, just from all over the place.
Hmm.
And these people are some of the most amazing collectors of vintage. And I had gone to a show, I think it was about 2 years ago, and I was dying. Seriously, I wanted to buy everything, but I had a very limited budget. So
Mm-hmm.
I picked out a few things. And I always thought to myself, I'd love to participate in that show. Now, at the time, I had nothing in vintage that I could really participate in the show with. Um, but don't you know, I started to get some vintage things, and I actually met the owner on a random Sunday. And I was somewhere, and somebody said, "Oh, that's the owner of a current affair." I was like, "Oh my God, I love
Right.
your show! I love your show. I'd love to participate." And he came to visit my store, and one thing led to another, and I ended up being a vendor last season in May. Um, and it was an incredible experience. Incredible.
Mm. Now, isn't that something by chance, or I always say, or maybe it wasn't by chance or random, that you ran into this person after saying that you wanted to be there?
I don't think it was it feels like by chance, but I think it was more than that. Like these kind of things just don't happen, you know.
Right.
You put something out there, and if it's really for you, the opportunity will present itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was surprised to have met the owner, and I invited him to come see my shop, my humble shop at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a major collector of vintage, so I'm showing him my things. I'm sure he's seen it all. But the opportunity presented itself for me to be a vendor, and my girlfriend and I set up, and we had too much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, too much fun. We were kids in a candy store there, selling. We had a big supermodel buy like 8 pieces from us. It was amazing.
Wow. So it was good to exposure, obviously.
Amazing exposure, but also a good time, meeting the other vendors and
Right.
clients.
Excellent. Now, also speak to the importance of just when you brought the owner of a current affair to your shop, just of being quote unquote ready. Like you said, it may have been it was a humble shop to begin, but you still brought him in, and just this idea of doing things, or even before you're ready.
Okay, so one thing I'm learning about myself along the journey is confidence is everything. Um, and you may not be ready, and you may not have all the right things in place, but being confident in who you are and what you have to offer, I think is everything. So I confidently presented my store as is with my little bit of vintage, and it worked out.
Hmm. And then too, I think people can feel when you have that confidence or when you believe in what you're doing.
Right. I
'Cause
agree.
like you said,
I
he's
agree.
he's seen it all, but still, he hadn't seen you.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's kind of how I'm rolling through life right now is to just be confident. I think I spent too many years in my earlier my too many days in my earlier years being a little less confident than I should. And I have no more time to waste. So
Right.
confidence.
What made you come to that discovery that no more time to waste? It's time to be fully who you are.
Um, I think, I'm in my 40s now, and I look back and I'm going, we don't have a lot of time. I mean, even if we do, it's not a lot. I mean, time is going really fast. And there's so many things that I want to accomplish, so many things that I've dreamed of. And I've kind of sat with those things dormant. And I just feel really, really like now is the time to explore, to go out there and go after what you want, um, no matter how difficult it may be. Just keep trying. If you fall, get back up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to look back on life, when I'm 50 or 60 or 70 and say I should have did this or I would have did this or I could have did this. I want to say I did it,
Right.
or at least I tried.
At least I tried. That's what I
Yeah.
say. At least you tried.
Yeah.
What do you think? We talked about this a little bit before the show, before we started recording, but this transition from, being in your 20s, you're getting into your career and making things happen and thinking this might be the thing for forever at that time. I know at least that's how I was thinking. And then, as you said, we get in our 40s and it's sort of like, okay, I'm starting almost like starting all over again, even though I always say you take your experiences with you. But that transition, what has that experience been like?
It was really difficult to begin with. I think I was dead set on having a certain type of career in the fashion industry. I was dead set on it. And I wasn't really ready for a transition. I mean, I'm glad that it happened now. It was the greatest awakening of my life because I've been learning so much about myself now. And I feel like I'm being reborn in a sense. But I'm learning to be more flexible now. I think we have a path sometimes that we think we're going to go on, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just be open to the fact that it may not be exactly what you're expecting, and that's okay too, because the destination will be exactly what it's supposed to be.
Right. The destination will be, I'm going to remember that. That's good. The destination will be exactly what it's supposed to be. Now, going back to your shop or actually just having a physical space, did you have any thoughts about just how most shops are today are mostly online, if not all online? Any apprehensions about having a brick and mortar space, especially because you didn't plan to keep that?
I think my biggest apprehension would have to be rent, financial. Just making sure you make that rent, and also you have the finances to do whatever else you need to do to keep your business going. But I personally like a one-on-one experience with people. I mean, shopping online I don't shop online that much, to be honest. I like to go and see things face to face. I like to feel, I like to touch, I like to interact with people. There's nothing better than going into a store and somebody remembers your name or they remember you. And they treat you well and they give you good service and they roll out the red carpet for you and they give you coffee or tea or champagne and lots of laughs. And that's irreplaceable. You can't replace that clicking a button online. I enjoy the time I spend with people who come into the store. We dance, we sing, we laugh. And you cannot replace that human contact, that one-on-one contact.
That's beautiful. Now, you do have a website, lifestylestatement.com, right?
So I do have a website. It's under construction right now. I actually have been working feverishly on it recently to get it up.
I've seen some of the images. They're amazing.
I cannot take any credit for that. I met an incredible photographer, and I'm going to shout her out because she's amazing. Her name is Heather Hazan. She is an amazing dear heart of a woman, but also she's an incredible visionary. And she's done some really wonderful work for me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, her pictures are gorgeous. Is it Hazan?
Hazaan, I believe.
AAN.
I hope
okay.
I didn't mess that up. It's either AZ or a double Z or a double A.
Okay, I'll look it up, and we'll link to it if she has a website too, so people can see.
She does. HeatherHazan.com.
So will your website then be mostly just showing what's in the store and inviting people into the store, or will you sell things on your website too?
So there'll be a combination of the luxury vintage, some luxury consignment pieces. The more special pieces will be online, accessories. I hope to get into some home decor soon. I'm really about lifestyle. If I could evolve into a department store online, I mean, that'd be a great accomplishment for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I like everything. Don't we all? Beauty, makeup, fragrance, home textiles, everything. I don't want to limit myself. I love it all.
But your focus right now is on the clothing and accessories.
It's clothing, accessory, consignment, and vintage. That's my current focus.
And then you'll grow from there. I love that. Now, for those who might be interested in opening a vintage boutique, or even, I know a lot of people have, especially here in Brooklyn, stoop sales or sales at a brownstone or a pop-up shop, as you said. What would be the one piece of advice that you would offer to them about going into this kind of business and about even taking the first step of creating something like a pop-up shop?
I would say go into it serious. Don't be casual about it. Really give people the best experience you possibly can. Give them the best customer service you possibly can. Create an environment that speaks of excellence. I'm always trying to think of how to evolve and make the space more beautiful within the restraints of what I have. Um, that's what I would say is go all out.
Mm-hmm.
Do it the right way. Give people an experience. You know.
And even with a pop-up, people don't have to necessarily do it on their own to speak to. They might not be able to get into right now a current affair, but I know there's often events sometimes in the area where there's a bunch of vendors in one space. Is that something that people could look for as well?
Seek it out. There's so many resources out there. There's so many different outdoor markets all over the world, as a matter of fact. So if you like to travel, maybe you'll be doing something in California or Boston there's things going on all over the world. There's tons of opportunities. It's just about what you want to do and, how you want to do it. Mm-hmm. So seek those things out, and there's always an opportunity for you. If it's not one, there's another one.
And you're going to be at a current affair again soon, right? I saw that.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
October 8th and 9th.
Okay, hopefully I'll have a link to their site as well, and of course to yours. So hopefully we'll have this up by then. October 8th and 9th.
Yes, at itsacurrentaffair.com, mm-hmm. or if you go on to lifestylestatement.com, there's a link for the tickets there as well.
Excellent. So now what would you say, Monique, if there's one thing you wish someone would have told you about entrepreneurship, what would it be?
I don't think I got any advice about entrepreneurship prior to starting, but being your own boss is not a joke. Mm-hmm. So the same effort, if not more, that you would have put into that 9 to 5 applies to your own business. Waking yourself up on time, self-motivating, putting in those hours exactly the same way you would have put in those hours for somebody else. Because there's no structure, you have to create your own structure. And I wish someone had said to me, okay, you want to get into this? I want you to know that it's going to entail a lot of discipline on your part. And you won't have a lot of time maybe to socialize and do other things. If you're really serious about what you're doing, it leaves very little time for other things in the beginning, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that'd be my biggest piece of advice at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're so right, because it's like this myth sometimes that you can quit your 9 to 5 in order to have all this freedom as an entrepreneur, which there's part of it that is freedom, but it's not necessarily that you get all those hours back all of a sudden, at least. So in the beginning,
not me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say.
I can think of something to do every second of the day. When I'm going to bed, I'm like, there's still more to do.
Right. You have to stop yourself and say, okay, I need a break. I need to rest. I need an hour at least in between this. Otherwise, I've worked 20 hours today.
Exactly.
But do you feel like you're driven though by something that's different than when you're in a 9 to 5 because it's your own business, or that you have to stay driven or conscious because of that?
Now my drive is I have to make this work. I right now, the only vision I see is being an entrepreneur. The same way I was so focused on being amazing for Valentino, I'm so focused now on being amazing for myself. And I don't see when I look at when I think about vision, I don't see anything outside of that. So I have to make this work, right? Mm. And whatever way it works, I just need to make it work. So I'm really, really focused on it. Very focused.
What would you say has been one of your stumbles along the way over the past year? Because you just celebrated a 1-year anniversary, right?
I did, yes.
Yay, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
That's amazing, especially considering you wanted to start it, or you did it as just a one-time, a few weeks thing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What do you feel like, though, was one of your stumbles or lessons, we say, learned over the past year?
I'm always learning. But I think the biggest thing I'm learning now is, I have to say again, to just be consistent, to be disciplined. I see, some lack of discipline in some areas, And I'm constantly working to grow and build and bring myself into that, that level of discipline so that I can accomplish what needs to be accomplished regularly, consistently.
Consistently,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, do you have a mentor or anyone or a coach or anyone that you work with to help you through this journey, or any people? It could be more than one person.
So right now I'd say from a couple different sources, right? Um, First of all, I go to a church called Christian Cultural Center
Oh,
here in
yes.
Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And Pastor A.R. Bernard rather, has been an incredible influence for me
Mm-hmm.
since 2005. Like completely elevated my way of thinking in general, my
Mm-hmm.
world thinking. Um, my husband, insane. I'd have to say, I talk to him about everything, and he's really, really a great influence. I read a lot. I listen to quite a few podcasts.
Yay.
Yay! Yeah, I do. I listen to quite a few. I go to sleep to podcasts. I wake up to podcasts. I read a lot. I also recently heard a lecture from a woman by the name of now it's escaping me because I want to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a businesswoman that spoke. She was a woman from Wall Street recently, and she spoke about the difference between how we're perceived and how we think we want to be perceived. Blew me away.
Mm.
So I think right now I'm really a consistent just learner. I'm pulling from a lot of different sources. I'm constantly reading. I'm constantly researching. Yeah.
I think that's so powerful. That's something I believe too. Obviously I love podcasts now, but reading and courses or just online webinars and just digesting all of this information just to get better at the things that you want to improve and just to see other people's experiences. That's actually how I learn the best, including going through my own experiences, but just talking to people. That's why I love doing what I'm doing. Just hearing about their experiences, their journey, and that kind of thing can be a way of getting mentorship as well.
Exactly. So I mean, to answer your question, I don't think I've always wanted to have a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think I have a personal mentor, but I do have many influences. And, I'd welcome a personal mentor when the time permits or
Right.
when that person comes along. But for right now, I'm just going to learn as much as I can
That's
from
what you
wherever I
do.
can.
And it'll lead
Yeah.
you to the person or people or what. And those kinds of things change too. And it doesn't have to be someone that sits down with you every day and that kind of thing. I think it's fluid.
Right. I agree.
What's one of your favorite books that you've read recently as relates to business or any other kind of things? And also one of your favorite podcasts.
Okay. So right now, I just finished a book called The Game of Life and How to Win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who the author is, but I'm going to tell you, a friend of mine sent it to me in the mail, and she said someone put the book in her uncle's windshield, and
Really?
they don't know who put it in there, but she read it and then she sent it to all her friends.
Mm.
That book is incredible because it's really about the power of your thoughts. And it's small. It's really, it's a thin book. You can get through it really fast. I am also, Pastor A.R. Bernard also recommended just this past Sunday that everybody read How to Win Friends and Influence Them, Dale Carnegie.
Mm-hmm.
I already had that book on my e-reader,
I have it
but
on my list.
I never finished it. So I'm gonna finish that now. I'm gonna get to that right away. I listen to podcasts from Christian podcasts, Joyce Myers. I listen to some things by Seth Godin. I'm always trying to find Tony Robbins. I listen to a bunch of different things.
His podcast is good, Tony Robbins.
Yeah. I'm always listening to different things to try to grow. I'm really in a stage of growth right now. It's all about growth.
It's all about growth.
All
Excellent.
about growth.
So I'll link to all of those things. And if you think about it later, the talk that you heard from the woman from Wall Street, you can give it to me. And just for everybody to know, I'll put it in the show notes and we'll try to find it.
Yes,
So
I'm going to because she also has a book. I want to give that to you.
Okay, we can find it after, but I'll make sure that I link
Yes,
to it once you had time to look for it.
I will.
Excellent. Now, what's the greatest lesson having a business has taught you about yourself as a woman?
I would say that it's taken me back to my childhood a little bit. I'm very creative, highly creative, and I enjoy using my creativity and my skills. It's also taught me that I am I'm relentless. I'm going to go get it no matter what, right? So sometimes we fall, but once we get back up and we brush ourselves off, and we get up and we just decide we're going to go get it. We're going to go do what needs to be done for ourselves, for our family. So I think I'm relentless. I'm not going to stop, and then I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was, a lot more resourceful than I realized I was as well.
And having a business sort of shows you that how resourceful you can be, or that you have to be.
Yes, exactly. Necessity, a lot of times, a necessity for sure.
Exactly. Now you posted something, a quote. I like to pull quotes that people posted. You posted a quote from Helmut Lang a few weeks ago that said, "Once I'm committed, I'm unafraid of the outcome."
Yes.
So what does it mean for you to be unafraid as you venture into this new space for you?
So I think for me, once I realized that you can do your best in trying to make something become a particular outcome, it may go that way or it may not. But you just need to give it your all, no matter what. It doesn't matter. That's with love. That's with life. Just give it your all. Don't be afraid to give your all to whatever it is. And even if it doesn't come out the way you want it to come out, you've done your best in giving it your all. Love relentlessly, fearlessly. And that's even with your job or your business, give it all you got. Just go for it.
Just go for it. What does your support network look like? I know you're, like a lot of us, doing a lot of things by yourself, but
I'm doing a lot of things by myself, but I also have some really good friends, right? So I have friends that are extremely amazing encouragers. They shop with me. They offer a helping hand. They come into the store and sit with me on days that are quieter. They give me great ideas to keep moving forward. It's not a whole lot of people, but I have some really incredible friends. And I don't take that for granted at all.
How important is it to you to have that outside of, as we mentioned, the things of whether it's mentor or being just focused on business? I know for me, it's just crucial to have people that don't even care about the business. They care, but they care more about me.
A lot of my friends honestly don't work in fashion or don't care about fashion.
Right.
They really could care less, or they don't even know what some of the things I'm talking about, like designers. They just don't know. But they do, to speak to what you just said, they care about me, and they care about whether or not I'm living out my dreams, fulfilling my dreams, whether or not I'm happy. And for that, they take the time to listen and learn and understand what it is that I'm doing and offer whatever it is they can offer at the time for me to be able to continue to grow and get what I need done.
So important. It's just something that cannot be replaced, to have that network for yourself, and then to have the people where you can escape if you need to and don't necessarily have to talk about business.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite things.
Right.
I have a couple friends. I love to escape to their houses and just sit with a cup of coffee and talk about a bunch of nothing. I love to just laugh. Elayne, I love to laugh.
Me too.
Laugh, fall on the floor, fall out, laugh. And I can do that with my friends. They really provide that space for me to just be myself and enjoy life.
Excellent. Now, what's next for you? What are you most excited about today?
Today, I'm most excited about this weekend, a current affair. I'm really dying to see what's going to happen this weekend. Who's going to come through the doors? Who I'll meet? The opportunity to speak to other vendors, to get to know some new people. And then once that's finished, I'm most excited about the website, really bringing that vision to pass so people can experience the store on the internet. And then from there, I just want to continue to build and grow the business.
Excellent. Now, people can go to your site, but as you said, right now it's under construction. Do you have an idea yet of when you plan to relaunch it?
In the next couple days, the site will be up, a soft launch.
Oh, okay.
If you go to the site now, you'll see a bunch of rolling images. So you get a nice idea of some of the things that we do have to offer. It's not just like a blank, coming soon site.
No,
we really
beautiful.
have quite a few gorgeous images up to show you the clothing that are available in the store. All of the models are wearing things that are available in the store. So we're going to roll it out like that in like a couple days. You'll get a soft launch, and then we'll just keep adding product regularly.
I love that. I can't wait to see it. That's going to be beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, in closing up, a question for you. If you think over your life and career and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
Easy enough. I'd have to say thank you to my mom. Um, Goodness gracious, it's kind of emotional just thinking about it, right? But my mom has been my biggest cheerleader since I was a little girl. She has seen me through some very hard times in life, but she's never, never, never stopped loving me. And she's never stopped saying that you can do it. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, put on your makeup, put on your heels, get out there and go get it. You got this. You can do it. She's been really my biggest cheerleader from day one, and she's never wavered in that support. So I would say thank you so much, Mom, for always seeing the beauty in me, even when I didn't see the beauty in myself. And thank you so much for drying my tears, but always just telling me to get up and go do it, that I'm dynamic and powerful and beautiful and able. My mother.
Oh my gosh, you're about to make me cry. That was beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, final question. What can we do to support you? We mentioned going to the website. Tell people where the store is and where they can find you on social media. I'll have links, of course, to everything, but just for those who are listening.
Okay, so the store is located at 708 Franklin Avenue, and that's in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. You can find me online at www.lifestylestatement.com, on Instagram at lifestylestatement.com, on Facebook at Lifestyle Statement. And what you can do to support is come on out and shop. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. They're the most gorgeous luxury goods in the store for a fraction of what you would pay retail. You're going to have an incredible experience and a great time when you come through. And if you have consignment pieces that are really incredible, that are really in pristine condition, that are luxury, you can also reach out to me at Monique@lifestylestatement.com. I'd be happy to make an appointment to see your pieces. And last but not least, do not discount this. A girl came into my store recently and she said, "You would love my grandmother's things. She has the most amazing things." And she had her grandparents reach out to me. And I rode out to Long Island to go meet her grandparents, which are now 80 years old. And they had the most magnificent things, most of which have sold already.
Wow.
So if you have people that are sitting around with things that they're not going to use, but they're gorgeous, and they want to, make the money and they want to give them to someone that's going to take good care of them and cherish them, please reach out. Feel free.
Now, how do people know if their things are in, as you said, excellent condition? I mean, I'm thinking about myself. I have some stuff over here. I'm like, I wonder if Monique would be interested in these things, like start thinking about the things that you have. As you said, things that we might be holding on to just because we don't want to just let it go or give it away. We want it to continue, the story to continue, so to speak.
For me, they just need to be luxury goods first and foremost. They need to be clean and free from odors and dirt. Get them dry cleaned first. Mm-hmm. If they're close to new or even have tags on them, they definitely qualify to be looked at. I'm always looking for something better than basic. Mm-hmm. Not that I won't take basics, but something that really speaks when you see it on a hanger. So if you have those sort of things, I'm definitely interested in seeing them.
Excellent. And shoes and bags as well, right?
Shoes as well. I'm actually in the process of creating a massive shoe event for the ladies. I want to have something really beautiful where we can just all come out and buy shoes at very low cost, beautiful shoes, almost just have a party and enjoy one another.
Okay, I want to be on that list.
You will be.
Excellent. Monique, thank you so much. This has been a fantastic conversation. I hope you had fun.
Thank you for having me. I had an excellent time. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Now, lastly, from you, just a parting piece of advice for about anything from you to our listeners.
Parting piece of advice is the biggest thing that I think that I'm learning now is to study yourself. We spend so much time studying other people. Studying ourselves, I think, really get digging deep. Who are we? Um, what areas do we have that we can grow in? Where are we most excellent in? I think when we study ourselves and we know our strengths and our weaknesses, we can really be dynamic and we can fill in the gaps by learning what we need to learn. Um, but right now, I think that's the biggest thing is studying yourself and being confident. There are some people that are really confident. I think they're just born with it. But there are others, like myself, where I think we have to really study and understand who we are and what our strengths are and what we have to be confident about. So I think that's what I would leave the listeners with today is just, spend more time with you and getting to know you.
Excellent. Monique Alvarez, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me,
Yeah,
Elayne.
of course. Of course. Hold on one second. All right. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you got something out of this episode. And the challenge is to take at least one thing from the episode. You can always do more than one thing, but at least one thing from the episode. Take action, move forward today. You can also check out previous episodes that I've done with past inspiring women entrepreneurs and creatives. Go to supportissexypodcast.com. Again, supportissexypodcast.com. Check out previous episodes, leave comments, get in touch with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to hear in the future. I am here to support you. While you're there, be sure to click the free resources button and check out some things that I'm offering completely free. That's why they're free resources, including an audio training on making brave decisions. You can also support me by leaving a review on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you're listening to this. Let me know what you think about the podcast. Leave a rating. Hopefully it's a 5-star rating, but that would really help me and I would love to hear from you. So now, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.